I believe one of the biggest scams that we were told in elementary school, middle school, and high school was just to save money for a rainy day. In this video, I'm going to break down the myth of why saving money is the fastest way to really poverty, in my opinion. And if you don't know me, my name is DeFi Mike. Welcome to the channel. I've taught and coached and mentored hundreds of thousands of people in finance, from the crypto market to the stock market. And we were told growing up just to save some cash, have that emergency fund. And I think it's the biggest lie. As you can see here, the average US savings rate is going to pay you about 0.38% right now in America. Recent inflation is showing about 4%. So you're saving money and inflation is just taking it from you. Remember, the FDIC only insures accounts up to $250,000. Now, some of you might be saying, I wish I could get to that point. Yes, I'm sure you do. But that's why you saw basketball stars like Giannis Antetokounmpo, however you say his name. He's now on the Miami Heat. Go Heat. And he talked about having like 50 bank accounts with $250,000 each a couple of years ago in an interview. That's why. And since 2001, there's been 570 bank failures. It makes you believe, is the bank really a safe place? Now, saving money isn't just safe. It's just a slower way to lose it, okay? This isn't a case for never saving. Let me make that very clear. It's a case for knowing exactly what safe costs you. And if you just save and put the money in your checking or savings or even a high yield account, you're losing money. So I want you to rethink how you're saving money, because let's do some math here. Take $10,000. How many of you have $10,000 saved? The average American does not. The average US savings rate is paying you 0.38%. Inflation's at 4%. You're losing money every year by saving money. So look at the purchasing power of $10,000 held right now. It'll be $10,000. In 2029, that same $10,000 will allow you to buy similar goods and services for around $8,900 by 2032. $8,000. And in the next 10 years, that same $10,000, you put it in an account, you don't touch it for 10 years, it'll be worth under $7,000. It's the same amount of money, the same account, but it's less buying power every single year. And that's why I teach people all around the world how to invest for themselves, where you don't have to trust other people. You can learn the skill set. You can apply to work with me down below in the description. Now, where does your deposit actually go? So when you deposit money in the bank keeps a small slice, okay? And then what do? You probably know this. They give it out. They lend it out. And then they invest your money through mortgages, through loans, auto loans, business credit, government bonds. The money is earning like 6 to 12%, like minimum, and you're getting nothing. So you deposit that $1,000 in that safe piggy bank. Bank keeps a small reserve. It's called fractionalized reserves. They can technically take that $1,000 and loan. They loan like $900 out to other people that walk in the bank and say, hey, I want to buy a house. And then guess what? They give you back nothing. So your deposit is a loan you made to the bank. That's just kind of how you can look at it. And this is the game. This is a game that is rigged against you and me. Banks are profiting off of everyday people like you and me, right? Make this make sense. Overdraft fees. You ever been so broke that you had an overdraft fee? It's like $35, $50 in some banks. Overdraft fees, they're making trillions of dollars off of overdraft fees. They've made trillions. Guess what? They're taking money and robbing people that don't have money and taking money from them. Crazy. $5 to $10, $15 monthly maintenance. $3 to $5 out-of-network ATM. Wire transfers. Account inactivity. I don't use my account and you're going to charge me? Maybe I'm trying to be financially responsible. Nope. We're going to charge you $5, $10, $20 a month. Now, none of this requires you to do anything wrong. It basically just requires you not to read the fine print in your bank. And I hear stories like this all the time. So look, a bank account isn't a vault. It's a loan that you gave them. It's some numbers on a screen. It's a promise that, hey, your money might be there. But once they get the money, they're using it. They're leveraging it. So why not learn this yourself? Now, here's what over leverage actually means. Banks borrow, okay? And then they lend through mortgages and long-dated bonds, and that mismatch is normal until interest rate moves, okay? Until rates change, which is what we're on the verge of here soon. So when rates rise fast, the bond, okay, the bonds a bank bought at old lower rates are now worth less on paper. Then unrealized losses pile up, and then depositors start to get nervous. And we've seen these bank runs. This is exactly what happened right here in 2023 when Silicon Valley Bank went down. In less than 48 hours, it created chaos. And then you saw the Fed have to go bail them out, which is insane. Now, banks collapsing is not rare. They're just forgotten. Okay, in 2008, Washington Mutual, the largest bank failure in U.S. history at the time, $307 billion in assets. Small bank gets eaten by bigger bank. In 2008 to 2012, there was 465 banks that failed. Obviously, financial crisis. And guess what? They got absorbed by the bigger banks. 2021, 2022, 0 bank failures. And then boom, 2023, we had Signature Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, and First Republic Bank. Maybe you remember those. But since 2001, there's been 570 plus banks fail, according to the FDIC records. Now, I'm not saying not to leave your money in the bank, but I'm saying there might be better places to allocate that money, and that's what you need to understand, okay? The FDIC, yeah, they insure up to $250,000. Now, hopefully you have a goal to have more than that in your bank account one day, but what happens if they don't bail a bank out where you have funds? That is a possibility in the future, okay? We've seen bank runs happen in Sri Lanka and in countries all around the world. Don't be so naive, okay? This is what they promise. The FDIC insurance promises $250,000. What if you had $10 million in an account and a bank goes under? Well, you just lost a huge amount of money, and that's why wealthy people keep their money in assets. Now, in previous videos, hopefully you've seen those videos called the emergency fund, right? Building the budget. Those are videos that live on my channel. This emergency fund still matters, okay? Nothing here contradicts the floor. Do you have 3 to 6 months of real expenses somewhere that's in, of course, a bank account that has some FDIC insurance that you could access if you need to? And it's always investing above that floor. I teach all my students, do you have that fund? Do you have that floor fund? And then do you invest right above it, okay? Now, let's talk about crypto. Can crypto exchanges fall? Yes. Today, we had a hack on the through a Bitcoin cold storage wallet, okay? And that took like $40 million. But yes, crypto exchanges can fail. Mt. Gox happened, Celsius Network, FTX. It's the same story as a bank run. It's just a different logo, just a different market, but it's the same thing. When you hold crypto on an exchange, you don't own the crypto. You own a claim on the crypto. And guess what? Claims can be frozen. I've seen people deposit everything they have into an exchange and lose it. And it sucks. Don't let that be you. Okay? Last couple of things here. You have exchange custody, and then you have hot wallet. And then you have cold storage, okay? Exchange, they're holding the keys. They have the keys to your car. Imagine going to the valet, giving them the keys to your car, and then you going home in an Uber and leaving your car there. Like, you're not gonna feel safe. So don't do that. Now, when you self-custody your wallets through a hot wallet, it's still connected to the internet, but at least you have the words. I was in Connecticut 3 years ago. I had about 3 Ethereum, about $10,000 at the time, sitting on my MetaMask wallet. I'm in an Uber, it's really cold. I'm from Miami. It's cold in my house, that's why I have this on. And guess what happens? I leave the laptop in the Uber. The people that got into the Uber, 3 girls, because I saw them get picked up from my hotel where I got dropped off, took the laptop, sold it to somebody, and I'm watching my laptop go from Connecticut to New York City, and then poof, it's gone. Well, thank God, when I got home, I had the seed phrase. I had those 12 words. I recovered the crypto immediately. It was that simple. Don't make that mistake, okay? And then cold storage, you got to keep it safe. Ledger has never been hacked, okay? Other cold wallets have been hacked as recent of this morning. So get a ledger, have multiple as your net worth grows, okay? And that's where you become your own bank. You know, crypto was created for a level of self-sovereignty, for you to have custody of your own money, not for us to trust these institutions with every decision, because you have the private key. You have the seed phrase, okay? It's a slogan that we talk about in crypto all the time. Not your keys, not your coins, okay? Now, it's not just a slogan. It's the crypto version of the same lesson this entire, PowerPoint slide deck has been on. Get custody of your assets and make sure you have a plan. And understand that when your money is in self-custody, you still need to be careful. You still don't want to click on random links. You still don't want to be naive enough to believe that AT&T is texting me at 4 o'clock in the morning saying, hey, your phone bill's due, click this link to pay it. Why would you do that? It's better for you if you're skeptical about something, you make the phone call to the correct number. You go to the store. Don't be a victim, because that's what's going to happen here. So, do you have their floor? Do you have a cash floor right now? Do you have 3 to 6 months of real expenses saved? Do you have a bank account that has FDIC insurance? Maybe if you're living in another country, is that bank account have insurance? If it doesn't, why are you leaving money there? Is it instantly accessible? Now, when you want to take out more than 5, 10 grand at the bank, good luck. You have to call them. Just really think about that. You can't even get all your money if you wanted to. It would take days. Some people it would take weeks because these banks don't have it. It's being lent out. It's in the markets. And then this is a really important lesson is what's your self-custody floor, right? What's your self-custody system? When you buy crypto, do you move it off? Stocks are different, but crypto, you gotta understand that there's 2 floors here, okay? So I'm gonna give you 5 things that you can take with you from this video, and I hope you send this video to a friend that needs to hear this message. Number 1, cash sitting in a savings account is just losing purchasing power. Please understand that. Number 2 is banks lend out the vast majority of your deposits. So they want you to deposit. That's why they give you bonuses for depositing and opening up new accounts and all these different things. But they keep the spread for themselves. Please know that. Number 3, FDIC insurance covers $250,000 per depositor, per bank, not everything above it. So be very careful. When you have that number in your bank account, you might want to start to move strategically. Number 4, exchange carry the same custodial risks as a bank, okay? And self-custody is the crypto equivalent of holding cash outside of a failing bank. And number 5, most importantly, self-custody is not risk-free money or risk-free crypto. It swaps institutional risk for personal responsibility